He's not one of the best German receivers. He's not one of the best European receivers. He is just one of the best receivers. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the ELF Science Center, brought to you by Euronics. But hold on. I'm Matt Bressington. You might know me from the ELF live show and from my YouTube channel, and because of our gracious sponsor Euronics, got a little bit of extra production value going on these days, which is great. Without them, it would not be possible. So thank you again to Euronics, the proud sponsor of the ELF. Now, let's kick off ELF Science Center. Being a new season, it makes sense to start with a new team. The Nordic Storm announced their entrance into the ELF in the 2024 awards. And let me tell you, this team has a lot to be excited about. To start with the coaching, you got John Shoop, who is one of the best offensive minds in Europe. If you remember, he spent some time in the Munich Ravens. They had the second best offense in the league. He then went to Rhein Fire as a quarterback coach, where they had the best offense in the league, and now he's in the Nordic Storm. So you would think those were kind of tying together. Coming with him from the Rhein Fire is two MVPs. Not one MVP, but two MVPs. J.J. Clark, the American quarterback, one of the superstars of the ELF, former MVP, pretty much holds every single season record for a quarterback when he won his MVP in 2023. Phenomenal player, massive arm, ability to just pick teams apart whenever he wants. In the backfield next to him, 𝗳𝗿𝗲𝗲, British running back, 30 rushing touchdowns last season, the MVP, runaway MVP last year, outstanding, physical, bruising, tough, everything you want in a running back, that's going to be making up the backfield. And then you add in the crazy talent that they have as a homegrown unit, because bear in mind, the Nordic Storm have Denmark and Sweden as their homegrown units. If you're unfamiliar with the ELF, you get homegrown territories for players, which is players that play when they started in a country of Denmark and Sweden, or of the native of your country and your team. Coming up next, one of my favourite signings of this off-season, Kwofie has restructured a previous 3-year deal with the Rhein Fire to a 5-year deal with the Rhein Fire, extending him up to the 2030 season. Now, if you do not know how exciting this is, first of all, has a longer contract than the league has been around for, so that just shows the Rhein Fire are building for the future. Secondly, Kwofie is one of the best receivers in the league. He's not one of the best German receivers. He's not one of the best European receivers. He is just one of the best receivers. Now, he did get injured a lot last season, wasn't able to really fulfill that potential as much as he potentially could, but he is still an all-star. He's 6'2", 220, can block a defensive end into the floor, has some of the best hands and some of the best route running in the league. He is phenomenal. He is better than most Americans that we see in the ELF. So this deal, a triple plus for this, honestly. He is the Rhein Fire. He's played for that Düsseldorf region for years, even through youth level. So it's not a surprise that he is a fan favourite in the region. And he has an opportunity here to not only become, he's already the Rhein Fire's, leading everything when it comes to receiving, but he has an opportunity to become one of the ELF all-time great. Certainly one of the most interesting storylines this offseason has got to be the Hamburg Sea Devils. Back in the day, the early ELF days, they were one of the best teams in the league. They had 𝗳𝗿𝗲𝗲 that we mentioned earlier, and they went to 2 championship games. They lost both of them, which is tough. Really, really, really tough. And then last year, they were not a very good team. They finished as one of the worst teams in the ELF. This year, they are trying to make a comeback, and that all comes down to their early American signings. If you do not know, 2 Americans on either side of the ball, and usually teams will go for a quarterback, a receiver, 2 DBs, but sometimes you mix up with the American defensive end. And that American defensive end is Kyle Kitchens. He is the league's best defensive player in history. He is a 3-time defensive player of the year. He owns every single sack record you could possibly imagine for the league. He is incredible. Amazing signing that is really just, he's also impactful in a run game as well. He is incredibly good. He was getting doubled and tripled for the last 4 seasons, and he's still able to be at the top of every statistic. So he's incredible. Nazir Streeter, a safety that I think is going to take a leap this season into all-star discussion. He's extremely instinctual, he's aggressive, he tackles well, and he's a hard hitter. The Munich Ravens are taking a massive risk at the quarterback position. Now let me explain why quarterback is so important. You only get 2 Americans, as we mentioned, so you're going to go for an American quarterback. And we've seen a litany of different situations. Every situation is different. We've seen D1 guys, D2, D3 guys, some of which have won awards, some of which never reached starter level at D1 schools. We've seen guys who have won NFL practice squads, CFL guys that come over from America to Europe, play a few seasons in other leagues in Europe, and then go to the ELF. We've seen all of that. And Russell does fit into one of those categories, but he's also extremely young. He's only 21. He spent 1 season in Europe from North Carolina to Spain with the Osos Rivas in the LNFA. Spain is not considered to be one of the elite leagues in Europe. And he did play well. He played very well. He's mobile, he's big, he's athletic. He can throw the ball hard and also accurately. He can find good space and coverage. And he is a good quarterback. But it is extremely against the norm. Usually teams go for guys with experience of 5-6 years in a pro level, semi-pro level. That's not what Munich has done. And it could either be a massive success or maybe a little one you sweep under the rug. I think it's going to be successful because Russell is a very talented player. He has Sean Shelton, who is an excellent. To finish off the show, we are finishing with one of the biggest events in European American football history. Jack Del Rio, former 2016 NFL Coach of the Year and Super Bowl champion, is coming to the Paris Musketeers. Now, there are a lot of different angles you could take with this signing. Who's he going to bring in for his coaching staff? How are they going to maintain the French talent within that country that is extraordinarily good? What Americans are they going to sign? Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to play? Like, there's a ton. We know that Austin Mitchell has signed. We know that Degan Gomez has signed. We know that Kevin Wamba has signed. Core players, that excellent players within that role of the Paris Musketeers. But Jack Del Rio is just such a massive name for this league, right? And then you look at his coaching resume, the teams that he's been at, the talent that he's been around. And that will conclude the first episode of ELF Science Center. Thanks again to Euronics for providing all of this and allowing me to talk about all these amazing players and amazing coaches. Would not be possible without them. Thank you. I've been Matt Prestington. I'll see you every Friday for ELF Signing Center. Thank you and goodbye.